Good afternoon. Welcome everyone to the Wednesday edition of Trading Trends. It is June 11th, 2025. We are rocking and rolling into ending spring and into summer. Really my favorite part time of the year before it gets really hot, and it's beach season all the time. All right, let's get into the markets here. I got a crazy looking doc. It looks like chaos, the picture, which is why I went with it. Today is the single stock edition of Trading Trends. I hope you tuned in yesterday. Yesterday with the All-Star charts, the morning show with Straza and Sean McLaughlin. That was always fun talking to those guys about the markets and such. Basically continued, of course, my thoughts here on the markets. Bullish temperament for this week. Today, we saw a little bit of a drop in the afternoon. We'll take a look at the charts. And also we did the Spaces report, the chart report on Spaces, where we talked about, Europe, Bitcoin, China, gold, areas that you have to be in. So again, today is the single stock edition, a crazy looking doc here. And this is the headline: Chewy and Gitlab fall 11%, while OKLO, this is crazy. If you own this one today, you knew about it because you saw a lot of green in your account. OKLO is up 29%. The quantum computing stocks are going to be a lot of the show today. I'm doing a recap, of course, not only of the day, but of the week and of the year best performers. And no surprise, which are in the lead here. It's those quantum computing names. If you own some, it's paid you very handsomely. So we'll take a look. I'm talking over, 1,000% year over year. So we'll take a look there. Crazy looking doc. There's Buzz Lightyear to infinity and beyond. There's Chewy in Russian. I think it says, not really sure there, but let's get into the chart. So we'll get into these single stocks, crazy movers. All right, let's get into, as we usually do here, the intraday tape and big movers first. So let me do that. So first of all, just big movers. Palantir, literally, it's funny. I was talking about this with a trader online. You know who you are, Alina. Said Palantir. We had a timestamp on our chat. I said June 14th to the 15th. Palantir would be 138 to 140. It hit 140 on the button today. So when the chart looks stupendous, again, that's why you can always go with the catch-up trade or the mustard. That's kind of the conversation we had from yesterday on the show with Straza. As a trend follower, especially in execution of options trades, you really want those to get in, in terms of when you execute at your entry point and then have it accelerate from there. Palantir is just an absolute stellar looking chart. I would say hands down the best one in the market. Probably a second, I would say, is in terms of the stocks, probably Netflix and Hood. So but Palantir is the best. There's a lot of animal spirits behind that one as well. So new all-time highs today. Congratulations on Palantir, nearly 3% move. Apple down 2%. Amazon down 2%. Again, SPY closed down 30 bips. We'll look at the move that happened in the afternoon. Meta down 1%. Broadcom bucked the trend up 3%. United Healthcare up 2%. Stock still looks awful. AMD down nearly 2%. And Intel with a big 6% drop. We'll zoom in on that chart later. So again, a nice day here. We peaked pre-market, essentially. We hit 606. So that is essentially just 1% away from all-time highs. Again, CPI came out this morning, cooler year over year. I believe it was 2.8 versus 2.9 expected. And then we teetered with pretty strong trading, I say, into 10:30. And then you see here VWAP, or volume weighted average price, starting to be a resistance point for us instead of support. And we really contending with that at 11:30 onwards. And then really 1:30, we fell out of bed a little bit, going from 604 in SPY all the way to the 2 o'clock hour down to 599. And we actually continue to go. Well, that was the low, put in at 2 o'clock, that 599 print. And we ended up rebounding, but still not getting close to VWAP, which was 602. We actually closed 601 half. So as I zoom out, again, a bullish bias on this week. We had said all along, ending right around that 60. It's hard to get right pinpointy, but I had 605 to 610 for a point as a target on or around this Friday. Potentially, Monday of next week. So nice consolidation here. We shed 30 bips. That is okay. Nice formation here. I know I've seen some charting today as well. Semiconductors look at some of the most bullish charts out there. The SMA rated breakout after doing almost like a year of basically of consolidation. That is obviously a major driver. That is fuel of the S&P going higher. So we shall see here, but Market looks good again for another thrust for the next couple of days, I would say, towards as close to that 610 region. Not quite sure we get all the way to 613 new all-time highs, but I am still bullish. I think there's more bullishness than bullishness than bearishness over the next several days. And then again, like I said, in the following 2 to 3 weeks, I think a pullback will take you to about 590, and that's going to be your buying opportunity for this next leg of this crazy summer bull market. Okay, let's get into these singles that moved. These really keep me on my toes. Let's start with the ones that moved up. We must go no further than OKLO. There's nothing okay about this monster today. Up 29.5%. That is a new 52-week high, new all-time high on this thing. For those who don't remember, I guess this really started trading. I took off the bottom panels here, so I stripped away volume for today. So hopefully you guys can see this better. But thing really looks like it started trading here. There's no volume. OKLO really, at 2024 bottomed here at $5 and now hit 64. Let me go back to a 1-year view here. OKLO. Wow, look at this chart. Advanced fission power plants to provide clean, reliable, affordable energy at scale to the customers in the U.S. Commercializes nuclear fuel recycling. This is a $7 billion company off of no revenue, up 29% today. Absolutely outstanding. Nice little cup and handle here as well. You see that ripping. This has been overbought throughout its from September of last year, many different periods. This looks great. I have a target on this. I think this has a bullish 2 weeks ahead of it. I think this up here, that is significantly a big move. Again, today was up 29%. So, I mean, please. But what's upper Bollinger Band? 63. Oof. And it closed at 68. That's absolutely must rip. I think this has a bullish accumulation in the next 2 weeks, at least through duration, in terms of I think it maintains much of this 60 handle. But again, this has attributed, much gains just overnight. This was trading 47 2 days ago. So, but a great looking stock. We'll take a look at this, I believe, as well when we do the yearly recap. But up 29%. OKLO. If you had that, congratulations. This thing has been overbought since before Memorial Day, since May 14th, when it closed at $37. This thing has just continued to ramp onward today, adding a whopping 15 points. Absolutely astonishing. Next one, we'll look at FLR, Fluor. Haven't looked at this in a little bit. Up 11%. That is major for this company. The chart here. So these guys are this $7 billion name. They're in construction engineering. They do procurements, urban solutions, energy solutions, modularization, and construction. A nice day, 11%. This to me is fully targeted right here at this, to be honest with you. Oh, geez. About $48 is probably as much as I want to take this. This is having an interesting formation, not formation, but a development here this week, closing above its 200-day moving average since June 9th. So interesting development here as it's shown signs of being overbought starting May 27th after a long period of oversold from February into April and before a rising 200-day moving average. So potentially a turnaround here happening in Fluor after the April 7th bottom that coincided with the United States SPY 52-week low. 200-day is starting to stabilize a little bit. It is literally flat at 45.28. You want to see that hold. A nice surge today. There is resistance right here at that $50 level. I think this has done quite a bit too far here, kind of similar with what I said with OKLO. Trees don't go to the sky, but these are strong looking candles. Can have another day or two of momentum continuation, absolutely. But these have done weeks of moves in just 6.5 hour trading session. So let's calm yourselves. Next, biggest mover of the day, SMR. If anyone was long on this one, Nuscale Power Corp. Traded much today, up 20%. So this is where the action was today. And a lot of this type of nuclear, I don't know if you saw yesterday, Iran, powering or beefing up its nuclear talks. These guys are small modular reactor technology solutions based out of Oregon. It's a $10 billion company off a very small revenue, $50 million, up 20%. Again, very similar, like I said, the target for this, again, up 20% today. I like this full target right around 40. So it's kind of done its job again. Still think it has a nice 2 weeks, maybe potentially zigs and zags. but this is an amazing candle. Obviously, 52-week high for this, and this has been overbought since May 13th. So these are leaders in their respective spaces. Let's look at the losers, and these are the ones that power that crazy-looking doc to start the program. Chewy down 11%. Yikes, Rocco would not like that. He is upstairs. Chewy sends him pretty nice holiday cards every year. I think like $5 off. Today, down 11%. They had earnings this morning. I guess folks are maybe, I'm just assuming, buying pet stuff on Amazon. But hey, maybe not. These guys are coming off 52-week high just 5 days ago. This stock hit 48.60, and boy, quick fall to 40.60. To be frank with you, I mean, Chewy is a $19 billion company here of $12 billion revenues. Great flows in the stock since May 1st, overbought since May 13th. So we saw a lot of masterful rotation into these different areas. This one has been a performer this past year, only overbought behavior. This is a great looking profile. I think this is an opportunity today. Not exactly sure what the news was here, but this is a pullback. The lower Bollinger Band I have here is $40. Nothing significant. This happened again with the SPY 52-week lows on April 7th, and it bounced right back. It potentially has a rough day or two reacting to this. Maybe it dances around that 40 handle, but I do think this is at $44, which is almost 10% away in, I don't want to say no time, but there are buyers for this, and this is the lowest RSI I've seen since April, and they bought it then. So it doesn't give me any reason to believe, especially with the animal spirits of the market, that this doesn't pop up. Maybe give it a little bit, another day or so for the dust to settle. But I like 40, 45 call spreads on this, potentially August if you want to give yourself time. Let this quarter shake out. But this looks actually like a good play. That's interesting. Chewy, there you go. Again, handle today, absolute superstar name coming off of a 52-week high. Again, these guys peaked during the COVID craziness. This hit 120 back in Feb of 2021. Pretty wild. Always nice to have perspective. All right, Gitlab number 2 got rocked the same amount. Rocco wouldn't give what's about this one, but Gitlab down 11%, down 10.5% rather, down the same amount or so for Chewy. This one, much more mixed. These guys coming off 52-week lows, not 5 days ago, but at the end of January when it hit $74. And now this 200-day moving average, which has been a brick wall essentially since that March earnings report, when it ripped that day and then it gave everything back, it was actually up 12% that day on March 4th in that earnings report. The next day was the highest the stock has been essentially since March till today. So very interesting chart in Gitlab. These guys had earnings yesterday. They reported 17 cents. Estimate was 15 cents. I'm guessing they got it down for the future. And yikes, again, 52-week low on this guy is $38, say 43. This is nasty. I think this tries to, potentially try to move up towards $52 as high as, I'm sorry, not $52, $48, but not much more than that. This will continue to be heavy resistance. This $55 line has not been able to close above it since March 4th. So I don't know what happens there. You can buy that breakout whenever it does happen. When Gitlab closes about 55 for a week or two, and then that'll be your easy telltale sign, but that's not going to happen soon. I think it potentially tries to rally towards, like I said, about $48, but Chewy to me is a better looking bet than this. All right, and then the next one, Intel. Everyone knows this name. I'm looking at their sticker on my laptop here, but boy, this has been a pig. It's ugly. It is certainly ugly. We all know Intel, the massive $100 billion company off of $50 billion revenues, down 6% today. Who knows why? This thing's just ugly. Look at the 200-day moving average, top left of your screen, bottom right. You sell that monkey all day. These guys peaked last July when the semis were absolutely ripping, though they do look good today. These guys peaked $37 last year. I think people were thinking that there was actually a turnaround. It had shown signs of overbought here with Gelsinger, the CEO, and then I think the guy resigned and someone else new. And that was a little bit of excitement for a while, et cetera, et cetera. But same old. These guys had, of course, their 52-week low with the coincide with the United States with SPY down $18 on April 8th. And now I just am not a believer in Intel. I think that's probably as good as it gets. This 20, that piercing that it had here, $22. So the 200-day moving average is sliding lower at 21. I apologize. This 200-day moving average is actually, it's teetering. It's flat, 21.63, but I actually do see it adding a penny a day. I can't believe that. That's going to give away. I'm not going to buy that. probably a data provider error because it's Intel. But 2163, yeah, that's as good as it gets. It's a tap, and then it goes lower after 200 moving average. This is like textbook technical analysis. It might give for a day or two or a week, but I like that getting to Kembe today. It got to that very important 2163, the 10-month average that we think Intel is worth, and going lower by the day. Today it's 2163. Ask me next month. It'll likely be lower, but not higher. We'll see. And yet, look what happens when it got to it. It got to 21, got to 22 even today, and then lower. So don't love this name, but all in all, I think it's just going to spend time around, to be frank, around 20.5. So a lot of the lifting to the downside was done today, potentially a little bit lower. But again, I think the market overall is bullish. Okay, top 3 gainers the past 5 days. If you have a ticker or something, put it in there. These are some of the craziest ones. These are the biggest moving names in the entire marketplace in the past week in the stock market, with the parameters being usually it's got to be at least $15 stock, and I got to see at least 5 million shares traded. So QUBT, or quantum computing, these guys peaked the week before Christmas. This is when the Fed cut rates at $27. Today, up 25%. These guys are up 50% in the past 5 days, or an average of 10% a day. Absolutely astonishing. Crazy. This thing was an $11 stock last week. So that's just nuts, just days ago. Look at the 200 moving average. Even when the U.S., when SPY had, this is where the SPY had 52-week low. No one sent quantum a memo here. Overbought. This is a superstar in the space. And in terms of fundamental information, in terms of market cap, I believe these guys are, this is a $2 billion name on pretty much no revenue, integrated photonics company providing quantum machines to commercial and government markets in the U.S. Absolutely great looking chart. Right now, I think this is fully targeted. Again, similar to what I had with the picture with other names. OKLO, I think they have a bullish accumulation for the next 2 weeks, but for me, full targeted right here is about $17. So this was a monster rip today, maybe some zigs and zags, and it maintains much of that move down to about $17. But again, great looking chart, and the high was $27 back in December. Best stock this week, quantum computing. Another one, ASTS. I know All-Star Charts, Riley's been all over this one. He loves this stock. These guys are going to have flying taxis apparently in Dubai end of the year. CEOs on Fallon talking about that. This is now an $11 billion company. They do have about $5 million in revenues. Some of the other firms we're talking about have literally zero. This was a monster rip. This chart, we've been talking about it, and I said right here was in purgatory starting March 31st. We talked about it in New Orleans at the conference. And then honestly, this almost symbolic or representative of what happened in the S&P, a 2-month bear market or so. And then we erased it, and really starting with that 14% surge on June 4th, just the last Wednesday, something has happened here. Now you're seeing multiple closes above the upper Bollinger Band, and this thing's at $36 again. Again, the peak was last August, believe it or not. Sounds pretty crazy, but that was at $39. Here we are, 36. Overbought again for the first time significantly for more than 2 sessions in a row since last August. So you're seeing that, that animal spirits and bullish behavior take over there. Just something I want to comment on too, the 200 moving average really is flat here. So you can see a little bit of the maturation in the stock. It's actually flat. You see a rip-roaring 200-day. And then here, starting with obviously those lows and that ugly kind of start to the month when it traded a 23 handle. Now the 200 moving average, it's flat. I do expect that to be your support, that $25.40 level, which were actually the highs during that mid to late May sell-off, interestingly enough. But I do think that holds. There you go. My story on ASTS. And next, that's up 27% in the past 5 days. Absolute monster. Today, up 2%. And then Sailpoint, up 24%. What is this hunk of junk? We can't look at this. I cannot look at this. Let's get another name up here. I'm going to do this live. We'll do it live. I can't look at crap like that. Let's get another high performer. Uno momento, por favor. Sailpoint. That's not real. Let me get another one. What is I don't do biotechs. We're doing this live. Oh, Sedge. This is crazy. So another solar name. This is the third best performer on the week. Is Solar Edge, up 19%. This was one of my rolling put spreads last year. This is a solar company. Looks like they want to go out of business. This was also a favor on one of the guys of the show from the morning show. Sedge, as I said, they do solar installations in the U.S., Europe. $1 billion company. They used to be much bigger. as you could tell, they tried to really get something going with this earnings report to have a comeback. But now we'll see. It's very interesting things happening here with the 200 moving average and solar at 1640. As long as that holds, it's pretty interesting what happens. I think this actually has, and I said this the other day, I think solar, every pig has its day. I think solar has another good week to go. Today it was down 0.5%, but it's had a very nice week, up 20% or so. Had a very, very nice week. I think this continues to go to about the $23 level. This is probably one of the spots you can look at in solar. And to be frank, that's really going to get high, contesting with those highs from the February earnings report. And then if you get to conquer that, then you're going back to the levels back from last fall. You're looking at $30. This is a nice stabilization that you're seeing in Solar Edge. If it can hold this $16 level on future sell-offs, that is a crazy potential turnaround in a really beat-down name. Okay, so that was the winners of the week. Yes. Losers. The biggest loser this week is this name called Sharplink Gaming, SBET. It looks like it just more so recently started trading, but we'll entertain this. It has significant volume as I see it. Where are these guys based out of? Online performance marketing company, delivers fan solution sportsbook. 20 million. What? I don't know what happened today with my data. I apologize. That is junk, and we don't look at junk. Let me get another name here for time's sake. Un momento, por favors. Uh-oh. My screen got wonky here. Okay. All right, let's go. Sailpoint doesn't count. I'm going to skip that guy. We're doing it live. You're seeing what happens. Oh, we did SBET. Sorry. Oh, my God. I'm tired. Apologies. So the 5-day declines, we're going to disregard that, even though it does average 3 million in the last 5 days. That looks like a hunk of junk, a blank check. I'm not going to do it. We'll skip the next one because it's actually a very popular name, which everyone knows. Lululemon, the worst spot to be this week, down 25% this week. Bad earnings report. Send the stock very much lower, down 20% that day on June 6th. These guys peaked in January 30th at $423, and then really oversold, obviously expensive goods tied to the consumer, and they sold it off and had pretty ugly drawdown. And now the 200-day moving average that used to be support after this earnings report now is resistance. It happened again. It's almost deja vu. Look at this. I don't even need to do an overlay. Look at this here, this report from March 27th, and then June 5th, and then it dropped. And then now we are essentially here 2 days after report, or I'm sorry, 3 days after report, 3 days after report. You potentially have a bottom somewhere around this. I think that honestly got a little bit overdone beneath the selling under 280, much like it got last time, though it got oversold there and not as much here. I think this is very likely a buyable event, but calm yourself because I think the rally over the next 2 weeks in this name take you to about probably fills this gap and heads to about 295. That's 40 points. I don't hate this name. I think the bullish backdrop of the market is supportive. I don't think it'll overcome anything near that 320 200-day moving average, but I do think there's points to be made up on the upside. Looks like from this candle, there might be another day or two of ugliness. Like I said, worst spot to be in this week, maybe, but let it bleed out a little bit more. Let it enter oversold, probably right around that 248 handle, maybe. And then that one looks like it's going to go higher over 2 weeks. Potentially July call spreads look decent for that. Okay, and then we'll do Docusign. Keep my eye on the time here. Docusign, one of the worst places to be this week. The second worst, actually down 19% this week, down 1%. This was also an earnings story collapse. These guys lost 19% on earnings. I think they said they're laying off something like a fifth of the company or something. I'm not really sure, but Docusign, a $15 billion company on $3 billion revenue. So it's a lot more than those flying taxis and everything else. Similar, I think again, stellar looking chart. They did peak in December, okay, the week after Thanksgiving. They peaked at 108. Your 200-day moving average is 80. This to me looks a little bit overdone. I honestly think this pops back to 84. I think it reclaims this $84. I'm sorry, this $80 200-day moving average. I think it actually rebounds to 84 over the next 2 weeks. Probably have to be a little bit patient with it, but also I think July call spreads for this would be a fine candidate. So I'm getting some good ideas. That's why I'm glad I do this program. Best 3 trades of the past 52 weeks, or I'm sorry, of the past 5 days. If you were long QUBT, if you were short LULU, and you were long ASTS, you absolutely crushed it. dozens of percent in absolute terms in your pocket. If you were long QUBT, short LULU, long ASTS, you absolutely crushed it. Now, top 3 trades of the past 52 weeks. I'm not going to really repeat the analysis on these, but just want to simply state, just the amazing track record that these stocks have. Your number one performer in the stock market, QUBT, up 2730%. That's 2,730%. I know it's crazy. These guys did peak in December at $27. Great looking chart, obviously. Not a close under the 200 moving average since before Halloween. Absolutely stellar when it was trading 80 cents then. I don't know what else can you say here. By far your number one. I did use this as a proxy for all quantum names. I didn't want to get too in the weeds, but after this was Rigetti and the other quantum computing, QBTS. There's many others that have more than 1,500% gain. I've tried to use that to try to pick the best of those names. So it's QUBT. You only need to own a little bit of this thing. It's absolutely a monster. So that is quantum computing. Next, second best place to be, Rocket Labs. Cannot ignore this one. Rocket Lab Corporation up 500%. So it's crazy when you think about your alpha from quantum computing space. That was up 2,000%, 2,700%. And then you get into the aerospace and defense name like this. It's a space company as well. That does, is a $12 billion company. They have $500 million in revenue. These guys peaked also the specular part of the market. These guys peaked in January at $33. Also a stellar looking chart. Just, one tap of the 200-day moving average, and that was on the 52-week lows. This name was trading last June at $4. Currently trades at $27. This has a nice 2 weeks ahead of it. I believe this is headed towards about $31. I think you're get some volatility expansion. It's had a rough couple of days, but I think this is headed towards $31 or more than 10% over the next 2 weeks. I think you're going to be rewarded if you're holding Rocket Labs. And then next one, we were talking about this at the beginning of the show. Palantir said exactly around June 15th with the market backdrop, Palantir should be trading right around new all-time highs. I was certain of it. We're talking about it also with you, Tony from Italia, if you were on the line, said right around the 15th of June, right around that 138 level to 140 is where it's going to go. Today it tapped 139 and we closed at 136. Palantir continues. This will hit 140 in my opinion over the next week. More bullishness for Palantir, your third best stock in the market over the past year. So long QUBT up 2,700%, long Rocket Lab up 500%, and long Palantir up 470%. You only need to own a little bit of those things because they're absolute monsters before they take over your entire portfolio like they're a vicious rebel force. Okay. We'll see if we could do a show tomorrow. I'm not sure because Friday's my birthday, so I will be at one of my favorite places in the entire world, the beach. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to do a show on Friday. It might be shishmammered. Maybe I'll do a show tomorrow, but it would be for the ETF space to recap all this craziness where we are just 2% away from new all-time highs in the market. Hope you all enjoy yourself, and deuces.